Hey guys, James with Torches and Tactical, and today we're going to talk about the NEXTORCH TA30C Max. Now this was sent to us from our friends over at NEXTORCH, and this is a tactical light that gives you 3000 lumens. Now that 3000 lumens with this large reflector does shine all the way out to 390 meters, and that's from an XHP50D high LED. Now from what I can tell, that basically does mean that it's an XHP 50.3, but I'm just telling you what the specs call it. Now that is powered by a 21700 cell battery, and if you pay attention, this does have USB-C charging on board of the actual battery instead of a port on the flashlight. Now for the flashlight, that means that you're going to have great water resistance ratings, but it means you have to take the battery out every time to charge it. And one thing about this light is it does have a rear magnetic switch, which will allow you to select your low, medium, or high, or switch it all the way to strobe. But it also gives you access to a rear tail switch, and that rear tail switch is purely momentary. That's going to activate your high, or if you press it down even further, it will activate a momentary strobe. So that rear tail switch does not lock in any of the selected modes. That's all going to be done with this magnetic switch here. Now if you see, it does have a battery indicator up top, and I think that that is very well done. It gives very easy access to all of your modes, as well as letting you know exactly what your battery comes in at when you shut the light off. So let's dive into the packaging and find out everything that comes with it, and then we'll keep digging into the light. Now this is the box for the NEXTORCH TA30C Max. Lets you know that it does have that 3000 lumens, one-step strobe technology, as well as, well, we'll get into this here in a second, but it does have ceramic window breakers on the front bezel. On the side, now some of these do come with independent packaging for the battery that clips into place here. On the back, you can see that you do have, again, your one-step strobe as well as your rotational magnetic switch, those nano ceramic window breakers, and 4-stage battery capacity indicator, as well as a couple specifications here. And on the side, you can see a couple of those specs as well. It's going to let you know that you have up to 3000 lumens, as low as 70,000 lumens, as well as your high runtime of 2 hours 45 minutes. And for such a large light that still runs at 70 lumens, it's kind of surprising that this still gives you 35 hours on low. Now, like I said, no USB-C charging port built into it, but it's on the battery. So you do get 2 meters of water resistance ratings. But let's take a look at what's inside the package. All right, so in the package, you do get a plastic sort of clamshell, and that's going to make sure that it stays in place and doesn't get destroyed on its way out to you. You do have the NEXTORCH TA30C Max manual, and again with the specifications, as well as how to use that user interface, but we will dive into that here in a second. And then you have this plastic package here. Now this is going to give you not only a NEXTORCH branded USB-C cable, but it's also going to include your NEXTORCH branded lanyard. So let's get this out of the way and dive back into the light, shall we? All right, now this TA30C Max, let me zoom in here so you can see all this. Now this does have a fantastically even, durable coating. It is type 3 hard anodized over 6061, and you'll see that this square machining or knurling gives you lots of grip. So if you need to remove the tail cap to charge that battery, you're not going to have any issues getting the grip for that. It does feature a very stout, now I'm 6'2", 220 pounds, so you know that I'm not some weak, puny little dude. So that being said, I am putting quite a bit of pressure on this pocket clip, and you can see that there's quite a bit of tension here. That's going to make sure that it doesn't slide out if you have to clip it to a vest or have it in your pocket. It is a little large for, I think, everyday pocket carry, but it can be done. it doesn't have a large throat on that pocket clip, so the head still will be sticking out, and that allows for a quick draw. Now on the tail cap, you can see that same machining I showed you on the body, as well as marks for tack 1, 2, and 3. Now those are your brightness settings as well as strobe, and this is going to let you select your low, medium, high, or a strobe setting. And on tack, that means that you're going to have full access to that momentary high as well as that momentary strobe from that momentary rear tactical tail switch. You'll also see that it does have these U-shaped saddles on here, and that's going to allow, if you need to, allow you to tail stand it. Now it is a heavy light, and these U-shaped grooves or these saddles aren't the largest, so it's not the most stable, but it will stay there all day. Now, while I have it like this, you can see on the head there are also ridges machined into the head of this light. And that's going to make sure that if you have it sitting down, it's not going to roll. It'll provide a lot of stability that way. Now you get a little bit just because it's such a large round head, but you also have a blasted bezel here with nano ceramic titanium strike beads in here, and that's going to make sure that if you need to, while you have the light in your hands, you can use it as a window break as well. These will make contact with the glass and provide an instant shattering effect, as opposed to hitting tempered glass with something that doesn't give the same hard edge. Now, if we focus on that business end, you can see, like I showed you, it does have that large bezel. Unfortunately, these large bezels do cut into the beam pattern a little bit, but we will go out tonight and show you exactly what that looks like. But you do have a glass AR coated lens, and sometimes, yeah, there we go. You can pick up a little bit of that iridescent color on that lens. But that is going to be protecting a very large, for its size, a very large orange peel reflector and that XHP-D high LED. Now, that LED does come in at 6900K, so it is a very bright white light, which is good. That helps with the throw. The whiter a light is, the farther it's going to throw, and the more perceived brightness you're going to get from it. But if we look at the beam that it creates, let me just go down to low here so you can see it without blinding yourself. Now you do get a hotspot, but it's not what I would call distinct. It has very soft edges, almost like a corona. And on top of that, you do get a ton of spill. Now I'm only sitting at, I would say, 10 to 11 inches above this table, and you already have over a foot of spill here. So this is definitely going to be more flood than it is throw, even though it does go out to that 390 meters. And being 6900K, you can guess that it doesn't give you the best color rendering, but it's still on par with a lot of lights today. It does come in right around 70 CRI, and when we get out there tonight, you'll see just how these strike beads do affect the actual beam quality. It's not overly so, but it is present. And if we move over to this pocket clip one more time, one thing I would like to show you is another item that NEXTORCH sent us today, and that is the FR2 tactical flashlight ring. Now let's go ahead and open this up so you can see exactly what this is. It does come packaged, tied, ready to go. I did have it out prior to this, so opening it up is going to be fairly easy. And what you can do is, it will take a bit of gumption for this particular TA30C Max, but you can pull off that pocket clip, and in place, since it can't occupy the same space, you can slip on this tactical ring. Now this is going to give you a great position to handle it, so you can hold a firearm, any way that you need to, and it is open on the bottom, so you can still use it as a pocket clip should you need that particular use. Now this is nylon over steel because it gives you a lot of spring tension as well. Now one thing that seems to be a trend on this large TA30C Max platform is rigidity. So they're going to make sure that everything stays very, very strong and is not going to go anywhere. So quite a bit of pull, and you can see it just finally starts to come out of the groove on that recession for the pocket clip. So let's go ahead and take this back off and get that pocket clip back installed. And if you were curious, the full length of the TA30C Max does come in at 153 millimeters. Now that's about a full 6 inches. The head comes in from ridge to ridge on the outside. The head comes in at 38 millimeters, and the body just over about 1 1/8 inches at 28 millimeters. Now I did put this on my scale and it came in at 8.1 ounces with the battery installed, and it drops by about 1/3 to 5.4 ounces if you take the battery out. So a very large light, but still doesn't tip the scales on the heavy end for what it provides. And if we open her up, you will see that 21700 cell battery. It is rated at 5000 milliamp hours, and I don't know if you can see this here. There is a little hole on the very top. That is actually your battery indicator. So when you have the USB-C charging port in, this will shine red to let you know that it's charging, and it'll indicate as well once it is full. Now, unfortunately, the charging current on a lot of these in-cell charging systems doesn't give too much. Unfortunately, this was limited to 1 amp, and that means that this 5000 milliamp hour battery did take 4 hours to charge, which isn't terrible, but in my opinion, I would always like to have a spare ready to go. That way, in a situation where you definitely need a tactical flashlight, you're ready to go at all times. Now, when I put this back in, one thing important to note, you can see these indicators here. This is actually reverse installation of normal flashlight battery installs. So the head goes towards the tail, or if it helps draw you in, it's more like sleeping with your head at the foot of the bed. So for size, I would like to bring out another light that we will compare it with tonight, and that is the Sparus T2-70. Now this is rated at 3300 lumens from Sparus, and you can see that they also have a very large emitter and a large orange peel reflector. So you can see side by side, they are about dead even. I'm trying to get the bottoms as level as I can. The NEXTORCH stand's just a little bit larger, but they have that very nice, even, matte black anodizing. The Sparus looks a lot more glossy, but you're not concerned about the looks. You want to see how they light up at night. So let's get these guys out and see how these beams compare, and then we'll come back in and I'll touch base on a couple key notes on the TA30C. So let's get out there. Alright guys, we have the NEXTORCH TA30C Max. We have low, medium, high. You can see a little bit of the crenulation poking through on the outer rim of the sill, and we also have strobe. And we also have the Sparus T2-70. Now here we have turbo, but it'll kick down to low, medium, high, and then back at turbo. And here we have a strobe as well. All right, let's get back inside. All right, guys, we went outside and saw these at night. So tell me what you think down in the comments. Now, my initial impressions comparatively, this seemed to have a softer hotspot as well as a softer spill. And it didn't get affected by the bezel. However, this gives you a lot more crisp, although still very soft hot spot. And on the outside with the spill, you can see these ceramic strike beads come into play. They do affect a little bit of that light output, but this bezel design gives you a much crisper spill. So I want you guys to tell me down in the comments what you think about the comparison of these lights. So touching base on a few quick things before I let you go, I just want to say that I love the fact that they keep their user interfaces very, very concise, and just picking it up, you'll be able to tell exactly what you need to do to get this thing operational. They have that battery indicator here that's going to let you know exactly what the charge is at. In addition to that, it just feels really, really good in the hands. It has fantastic ergonomics, and I think if this LED were a little bit leaning towards the neutral side, this would be the new king in my book, frankly. And as far as drawbacks, I have to say that I really only have one complaint, and that has to do with the battery. You get plenty of runtime with it, but I'm not a fan of USB-C on the actual cell itself. It leads to long charging times, and frankly, if I need a tactical light, the last thing in the world I want to do is wait for it to finish charging. So now tell me if you guys agree with my take on the TA30C Max, how it compared to the T2-70 from Sparus. And finally, I want to thank you guys for being with me today. So if I can ask, I'd like you to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. That helps get our numbers out there so we can do more lights like the TA30C Max for you guys. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.